This is the O-Review podcast. O-Review.
Hello, welcome to another episode. Today's going to be one of those rare occasions where I'm going to review something that's new, hopefully in an attempt to help you make a better purchase. What we're going to look at today are half frames, and I have a rather large selection of different half frames. Most of them are going to concentrate on the sport-specific ones, but I also have a couple other ones like the Romeo 2 and the Thump, just because I was looking through my collection trying to grab anything that seemed to fit the model, and I figured I'd bring those in too. So I've used a half jacket and a flak jacket an awful lot, and even though I collect most of my pairs and don't wear them, the ones I do wear tend to be the sport-specific frames, and I tend to kind of go towards the half frame a lot just because I like the feel of them. I like the fact that there's nothing down here blocking your vision, and I just generally like those better. I had my eye on the new Half Jacket 2.0 as well as the Fast Jacket, and I decided to pick one up, and I ended up picking up four. So it happens. But the nice thing is I'm able to take a look at a lot of different lens options and hopefully take a look at how easy it is to swap the Fast Jacket lenses versus the old Half Jacket 2.0, and the Flak Jacket. So let's take a look at the Half Jacket, which is my original go-to model. So this came out in 2002, and basically you're going to notice a lot of styling that is similar to the M frame, which the new M frame came out in 1999. However, the new M frame was really modeled after the Pro M frame, which came out in 1997, despite being in the same time frame as the original M frames, which were a lot flatter. So you're also going to see the same stylings on the Half Pint and the Eye Jacket 3.0, but those didn't really last too long, and the Half Jacket was kind of a staple model. And you can still see it for sale in Sunglass Hut and other places, but usually you're going to see that heavily discounted now that the 2.0 and the Fast Jacket have come out. Not represented here are the Bottle Cap and the Bottle Jacket. The Bottle Rocket. Mainly because I don't have those, and also because those are sort of the bottom tier option for Oakley's offerings now. Oakley's trying to do sort of a three-tiered model now where they have good, better, and best. So basically what we have is we have the Bottle Rocket, which is the good model. And the ironic thing is that the Half Jacket 2.0 actually is cheaper than the Bottle Rocket, but the Bottle Rocket doesn't come in non-polarized. So the Bottle Rocket polarized is about $160, Half Jacket 2.0 non-polarized is $120, but the polarized version is $180, so that actually puts that a little bit above the Bottle Rocket. So Bottle Rocket, Half Jacket 2.0, and then Fast Jacket. You're also going to see the same thing with like the Jawbone versus the Split Jacket, which is now the new Racing Jacket versus the Split Jacket or the Wind Jacket. So you kind of have a tiered model there. Then you'll have things like the Scalpel and the 10, which would be the lower frog skin-esque level of that. So as far as the Half Jacket goes, the main thing was the fact that you could swap out lenses. And originally, and still in most of these models, they only come with one lens. But if you have more than one pair, or you buy specific accessory lenses, you can pop these out and then change it to your lighting needs. So I have Fire Iridium, which is a very dark but yet contrast lens. And the way you change these is, and this is important, always make sure you pop it out from the nose side first. I actually cracked off the tab by trying to do the temple one time, and it was fine because I was able to just recycle the lens. I cut it into a splice frame, so a lot of my splice customs came from just having broken lenses or spare lenses. So what you want to do is you want to just hold it as such and give it a quick push outward from the nose, and that allows you to take the lens out. And of course I'm doing this backwards, and then the lens comes out. To put it back in, just reverse the process. Keep the temple side in first. I can't see this. I just had coffee, so I'm all shaky too. That doesn't help. And push in. And sometimes it helps to kind of bend that. And then basically you have the lens back in. And then this one popped out while I was at it, so let me just get that in quickly. And I try to hold the edges of the lenses just for fingerprints, but sometimes it's easier just to grab it, stick it in there, push, and then clean off the lens. So again, these came out 2002. They were probably pretty much Sunglass Hut's #1 seller was the jet black with black iridium half jacket. The #2 seller was the half jacket XLJ. Now that's another thing. Let me move on to the flak jacket. I'll show you the two versions that they came in. So basically, each of the half frames generally, and even with the fast and the half jacket 2.0, they come in two different frame or lens types. So here is a flak jacket, which came out 2005. This came out at the same time as the bottle cap, and again we have that tier system where the bottle cap was lower, flak jacket was a little bit higher. But the nice thing about 2005 is that we started having this dual cam hinge system, which basically allows the ear stem to snap into place. Whereas with the half jacket, we just had this basic swing. There's really no spring or any leverage in there. So here is the normal flak jacket, and here is the Flak Jacket XLJ. Really the only difference is that the lens comes out and it fans out a little bit more just for the extra coverage. Does the coverage really matter that much? Not really. I don't find it really makes a difference when you're wearing it, but I do like the aesthetic of it, and I just like the fact that it has a little bit of extra. So it's basically it's personal preference, but functionally there isn't that much difference. This pair and this pair, I have a lot of heavy wear on it, so these are not in the greatest condition, but they really, they take a beating. If the ear stems pop off, you pop them back in. If the lenses pop out, you pop them back in. They're really rugged, and as long as you make sure there's not too many scratches on the lenses, these will last you a long, long time. So just to recover, basically I have polished aluminum. And this originally came with a titanium iridium lens, and I ended up popping those out after I cracked the tab off and I turned that into a splice. I followed that up with a ice polarized lens, and I ended up using that for something else. And then I eventually settled on these fire lenses, which have been I've stuck with for a few years. This one was a Bass Pro shop exclusive. It's a woodland camo with bronze polarized. I got these when I was down in Florida for school, and I'll do an episode on these alone because I kind of have a story about I was jumping over fences and all that fun stuff, trying to find them. But this is a real cool pair because I love camo. This doesn't sit with all my rest of them. I actually have these with my King's Camo straight jacket, which I got recently because I really love camo prints, and I try to collect those when I can. This is a metallic red frame with it's VR28 black is what it is. There you go. So this really helps out with contrast. It's a great driving lens, so even if it gets overcast, you can still see pretty well. This is the Livestrong edition flak jacket. So basically it's black iridium, polished black frame with yellow accents. Nice thing with this one and the flak jackets is they started coming with these carrying cases. So not only do they give you a case to put your glasses in, but they also come with extra slits so you can keep your spare lenses, which is a nice feature. Now the flak jackets didn't come with any extra lenses, but starting with the fast jackets, they did. But if you did buy extra lenses, you had space for them. Finally, I have my factory co-pilot pair, and these were given out to members of the factory co-pilot contest. So there are 50 of these, branded with Copilot 09. Basically they allowed us to OCE any pair of flak jackets that we wanted, so I chose the XLJ, that's what I like. And I tried to pick the most garish and ugly colors as possible just because I knew I wouldn't wear it, and I figured it would just be kind of cool to make kind of go crazy with the color options. So I did Team Orange, high blue lenses with the blue iridium, and I chose white sockets just because I figured that would clash the best. But I like them, don't wear them, but nice collector's piece. All right, so 2002, 2005, Now we come to 2012 and we have a few other options. The successor of the half jacket, in my mind, is going to be the fast jacket. Now technically the half jacket 2.0 right here should be the successor, but I find that, you know, as far as fit goes, the fast jacket's going to be more of the successor. Now, I would say the Flak Jacket, actually let me grab this guy here because this will be more similar. I'd say the half jacket 2.0 is actually the successor of the Flak Jacket. Mainly reason is because we have these very flat, thin arms, so they have a very low profile. So if you're going like under a helmet or something like that, they're going to slip in there a lot easier. So if you take a look at the profiles here, not a whole lot of difference. Basically, I mean, they're near identical. And as far as fit goes, I mean, you would, if you had your eyes closed, you wouldn't really be able to tell which glasses you're wearing. So that's kind of what I'm feeling for the half jacket 2.0. Now, as far as the fast jacket goes, you get something that's a lot chunkier. You have the false fins here. And if I take a look at the original half jacket, and you can tell I do like the aluminum and the FMJ. I also like really bright oranges too. You notice that the profile, it's not exact, but it's a lot closer. So as far as wearing these, I wore these on the way home yesterday, and aside from a great fit, they did feel a lot more like the original half jacket, which was something I really wanted. When the Flak Jackets came out, yeah, I loved them. I really loved the half jacket more, and I was convinced that the half jacket wouldn't go out of style that fast because the Flak Jacket wasn't really a replacement for it. The half jacket just really didn't have its match until the fast jacket came out. Now here's the con. These were about 150, 160. Lower, that's, you know, for polarized. Lower models were a bit lower, 120, 110, somewhere in there. Fast jackets usually are going to be in the 200, 200 plus range. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is it is the higher tiered model, so you have a little bit more technology, which I'll go over in a second as far as doing the switch lock technology. But also they come with spare lenses by default. So it's much like the Jawbone. The Jawbone had a much higher price point than the split jacket because it came with 2 sets of lenses. Sometimes you may not want those extra lenses. You just want to buy the fast jacket and maybe buy lenses later, or pick and choose the colors you want. So that's kind of a barrier to entry because these go for about $220 and these go for about $120. So $100 difference for, if you don't care about the lens technology, now you're paying $100 extra just for some extra lenses, assuming you don't care about the aesthetics and the technology behind it. So that's kind of one barrier to the fast jacket success. Now the interesting thing is that I found these in the DE discontinued final sales section of my local Oakley vault. So the ironic thing is that I actually spent more on the half jacket 2.0 than the fast jacket. But I really can't complain because now I have 3 of them, which is always good. So as far as taking the lenses out of the half jacket 2.0, they're going to be the same process as the Flak and the original half jacket. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to push out from the nose and hook out from the temple. The same goes for the Flak Jacket. Push out from the nose and pull. Put it back in, temple first, then nose. So let's take a look at the comparison between the half jacket and the half jacket 2.0 lens. So basically what we have is the half jacket and the half jacket 2.0. Pretty much, are they identical? They're not identical, I can tell that. I'm just wondering if the hooks, I don't think they'd be compatible because the half jacket original curves up a little bit more than the 2.0. But let's give it a try. Let's see if we can fit the 2 lenses in, because if we can get the old half jacket to the new half jacket, then we can maybe justify picking up both pairs. That's always good. So I'm going to try to be ginger about this because I really don't want to ruin a brand new pair. Let's get the temple in first. Okay, it's a little bit smaller. There's no way that's going to stay in. I mean, I could probably gravity fit, but that thing's just going to pop right out. So half jacket original and the half jacket 2.0, not going to happen. Let's try the 2.0 in the original. Hook the temple, and no, it's too wide, not going to happen. So they are not compatible. So unfortunately, we're not going to get too far trying to make those two fit. Let's try Flak Jacket. So there's a comparison of the lens shapes. Again, very similar. If I kind of compare these two, it looks like the Flak Jacket is a little bit bigger, a little bit wider. Now the top curve is roughly the same. Maybe a little bit more of a hump on the Flak Jacket. Let's give this a try. So here's Flak Jacket, lens in a half jacket 2.0. Ooh. All right, well, I said it was bigger, but it wasn't bigger by much, so it looks like, all right. Now, remember what I said about the half jacket 2.0 being the successor, in my eyes, of the Flak Jacket? Well, it looks like the lenses will fit. So they are slightly bigger, but, you know, aside from that little extra tug, they do fit fine. So I would say Flak Jacket in the half jacket 2.0, it works. So pop that out. Let's try half jacket 2.0 in the Flak, which I wouldn't really imagine there being a problem, but for the sake of being thorough, let's give it a go. All right, so temple. All right, I don't get that satisfying snap, and it looks like there's a little bit of a gap there, but yeah, it works. So I'd say Flak Jacket in 2.0 better. This is acceptable, it works. I do feel a little bit of snug there. So actually, since the half jacket 2.0 lens is a little bit smaller, you're not going to have that secure fit. So I would probably, it does fit, I would probably not recommend a half jacket 2.0 lens in a Flak Jacket, but I would recommend a Flak Jacket lens in a half jacket 2.0. So if you want to upgrade to the 2.0 and you have a lot of old Flak lenses hanging around, I'd say, you know, keep them around and swap them in when you feel like it. Okay, so up to this point, we've really had some very similar models. Get this guy back there. Pop this guy back in. Okay. All right, so now we move up to the big guys, the Fast Jacket. These piggyback on the jawbone and the radar lock technology called switch lock, where instead of flexing the frame to get the lenses out, we have a much easier method. Now, I'm probably not going to be able to see that, but at this point, I have these huge spider cracks coming out from the temples here. I don't know if it's just the iridium or the actual lens is cracked, but basically the flexing from the lens and the jacket over time has made the lenses have spider cracks, and that's not really good. So now we have the switch lock technology, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to fold the lens in, you're going to push this away, there we go, and now the lens just simply pops out. No flexing needed. So as you see, the lenses aren't compatible at all. We have this completely closed circle here where the switch lock goes in, and then we have just a general hook here. So the ironic thing is that in the Fast Jacket, the temple area goes out first and the nose area is the hook, as opposed to the inverse for the half jackets and the Flak Jackets. So this is blue iridium, which unlike ice is, it's very similar to like G30. It's almost like a VR28 with blue iridium, but it's just called blue iridium. Not to be confused with the old style blue iridium from the original Zeros and M frames. All right, so to put them back in, hook the nose in first, just slide the temple down into place so it's snug, pop that lever down, and you're back in business. Now we have a very secure lens that's not going to pop out from accidental play. And the fact that the temple had a closed circle, you know you're not going to have an accidental release because this is completely closed off and the pin goes through it, it's not going to come out. You're going to have a very secure lens. So I have a few different lens options here. Now, since I got 3 different pairs, they actually all came with unique lenses. This is, I think, the only stock configuration I got. So the FMJ comes with blue iridium, but the real reason I wanted it was because it came with jade iridium. Now jade iridium is basically a usable G26. Everyone loved the really deep greens on G26 because emerald was more of like a very gray green, very neutral, didn't really have too much color to it. But G26 was very vibrant. However, the base was so extreme, they recommended you to not drive or use it for an everyday lens. Jade came out as an answer to that. So basically you have the G26 iridium coating, but you have a very neutral gray base to it. So wearing this is really no different than doing like a black iridium of sorts. So basically if I look through each one of these, I'm not going to notice too much difference. Now iridium, even though it doesn't really affect the color of the base, it does filter some light, and the stronger the mirror, the more light being reflected away, so therefore you will have some sort of tint changes, but it's really not drastic enough to be noticeable. So just wearing this, you're going to get a very neutral color. So if I want to change out my blue iridium lenses for the jade, I'm going to move both of these out of the way. That'll allow me to pull up the switch lock, click, and click. Okay, temple first, nose out, and repeat. Temple, nose, and then reverse. So put nose in first. Make sure you get that hook inside there snugly, and then the temple will slide in and pop the switch lock closed. Repeat for this side. So nose in first, get that temple in, and close the switch lock. Now you have your jade lenses installed. Fit is very good. They feel substantial. They have the beefy frame of the Half Jacket original. Compared to the 2.0, these are much lighter. Might be good, but I feel like they kind of sit, even though they have a flatter profile, I feel like there's more space here. I feel like they're kind of like sitting out from your face. Whereas the Fast Jacket, I just feel like they touch your face all over. Like you have complete coverage. You know, your cheeks get touched. Everything is very compact. You know, with this, I don't know why it is. It's thinner. It definitely is, because if you look at the profile between the two, you notice this one does have more of a beefier feel to it. But despite the flat profile, it just feels like they're kind of floating out there. You know, so if you're doing sports, that might be your preference. Now the Fast Jacket, again, that's still a sport frame. I would highly recommend it. I would probably recommend the Fast Jacket over the Half Jacket 2.0. However, the price point might make that somewhat not feasible. All right, so in addition to the FMJ with the blue and with the jade, I got a few other models because they were just so heavily discounted that I was like, you know, why get one? Why not get three? So the next one I went through was very vibrant. I probably won't wear this, and the sole reason I won't wear this isn't because I'm afraid to go out with bright yellow, but mainly because of the white unobtainium. White unobtainium is very prone to discoloration and dirtying up from sweat and otherwise. I don't mind wearing my pairs if I'm fairly confident that I can get them back into decent shape with a good cleaning, but white unobtainium is not going to happen. Now here is the difference between the Fast Jacket and the Fast Jacket XL. For some reason they call it XL instead of XLJ. Maybe they're getting away from the jacket for J, but that's what they called it. So really just get a lower profile lens here without that extra fin. The other one I got was the black plaid, and this is fire polarized, so these are my two polarized pairs. And again, it's back to the XL lens shape. This is G30 polarized, so very similar to the VR28s and whatnot, but basically G30 has a blue-ish iridium. It's not blue iridium, but it's very close. And that one came with persimmon lenses as its spare. Most of these they try to do like a daytime lens and a nighttime lens or an evening lens. So we have a very dark G30 polarized, still increased contrast, and then a very, very contrast persimmon lens. The Fire one came with clear lenses, so basically this is pretty much just pure nighttime lenses, so I'm not sure what I'd use that for, but is either that or I have another set of persimmon lenses and I didn't really want the same, I kind of want a different. And if you have frames that change lenses so easily, you do want a lot of different lenses as opposed to the same ones, because then you have more options. So just kind of going over the final couple ones I have. X Metal with the half X and the Romeo 2 decided to do a half frame model, and not many people liked the Romeo 2. I think its downfall was the fact that it was called Romeo, and just like Romeo and Juliet, people are very attached to those names. So anytime you have something with a similar name, the expectations are set very high. So this is the polished frame with titanium iridium lenses, and I really liked it. I thought it was a good fit, and this one I actually wore quite a lot, and I don't wear X Metals all that often, but I did wear these a lot. I will go over a review of those later. The other half frame I have off the top of my head is the Thump. The Thump was not really inspired by the half jacket. It is a half frame, but there's really nothing similar between the two. The only similarity this has is with the SI M-Frame 2.0, but that came out later and had stylings from the Thump as opposed to the other way around, where it had these kind of a ribbed design on the ear stems. The difference here is you can flip these lenses up if you want to see in the dark, so instead of having some sort of complex either transition lens or swap out, basically if you wanted to change these lenses out, there's very small Allen screws here which would allow you to take these lenses off, and there's a hook in there to keep them from bending too much. But these really don't have the same benefits and features as the other half frames because you can't really swap them out. The reason it's a half frame is so it can kind of flip up without hitting a frame, but other than that, it doesn't really fit the same aesthetic. Other frames that you might be considering would be the women's line, like the Commit. There's a Commit AV and there's a Commit SQ for squared. It's going to be the same difference. It's going to be something like a curved design on the Commit AV, and not as much of a fin here on the SK or the squared. You're going to have more of just a square design versus the curved design on the AV. There's plenty of other half frames. I talked about the Bottle Rocket and the Bottle Jacket, or the Bottle Cap. I keep saying that. Yeah, Bottle Rocket, Bottle Cap. There's a few other ones. There's a lot of prescription frames like the Yardstick, which is a half frame, and there's a few other. You get the half X and the X Metal line. So that's kind of the long and short of it. So half jacket 2002, you can still find them a few places. Flak Jacket 2005, you can still find those plenty of places. And then half jacket 2.0 and fast jacket, which is 2012, brand new. I would heartily recommend fast jacket as my first choice. If you're strapped for cash and don't care about the extra lens or the switch lock, definitely pick up the half jacket 2.0. Or if you find some discontinued flak jackets, they're really the same thing. I mean, as far as technology goes, you have an icon on top instead of the side. That's pretty much it. The unobtainium's in a slightly different configuration, although it looks like it would even be worse to try to change out. So, as much as I hate to say it, I'd say go with the flak jacket. You're really getting the same frame, but you're going to pay a little bit less for these. That's probably the only thing, because flak jackets, they were 130, 140, 150, somewhere in there. These are 120 for non-polarized. So for the price point, yeah, grab these. The bottle rocket, you're going to get a very similar thing. You actually get almost like a half frame Jupiter squared is kind of what it looks like. So those do only come with polarized, so you're going to spend a little bit more for those, but if you want polarized, they are going to be the cheaper option versus the Half Jacket 2.0 polarized. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed this. It's going to be a rather long one with a few interruptions here and there, but hopefully I'll edit those out. And if you have any questions, do let me know, and hopefully this influenced your latest purchase. So definitely go out and grab one of these for the summer before it's over. Take care.